I remember it like almost yesterday. I was flying shortly after the 9/11 when we were able to get back in the air, and I had to go fly back to a conference and needed to go. And I was on this little tiny plane. And I remember the difference between flying on then flying before on a similar small plane. And in that case, in the prior situation, there was a curtain that separated the cockpit from the rest of the people that are on the plane. Now, after there was this hardened door, and it took various shapes to try to get what is the right style to fit in that people can get still through, and lock the cockpit down so that people can't jump in there. But there was a certain awareness that happened during that time. Everyone was looking at when that door would shut, then we would be taking off. It was a whole lot different than prior, where the pilot or co-pilot would walk out occasionally during the flight, just to chat with people, as the flight was en route and everything seemed to be okay, but no longer, right? I don't know if you experienced that, but I was flying the regional airlines. Delta had some regional connections that I had to fly because they weren't running their regular flights into the city at that particular time. So I felt that was a whole difference, but it was a different attitude too. It was a different attitude. Hi, Lisa, welcome. I'm glad you could join. But it wasn't a different attitude. It was a different attitude of cautiousness of, is there going to be a terrorist on this particular flight? Is there going to be an uprising? Is it going to be different than what we are accustomed to? Or we didn't really know the rules. We're just learning about this, aspect of security and being, eliminate certain items from our carry-ons and, going through that whole process of learning, okay, how can we be more security conscious? It was a different attitude, a different focus. And some people would say there was a different camaraderie between people. They weren't at each other. They were working together and trying to figure out how this was going to happen and be security conscious of all the people coming on the plane, looking them over and making sure that, they knew them or could identify them and, kind of look at perhaps how they were coming on board, whether they're distracted or whether they're intense about something or, trying to talk to the psychology of the people on the plane. I was just reading an article yesterday about, it's changed in the planes nowadays. It's changed from that time where flight attendants knew they had the people with them, that they created one unique team of people that would never see each other again, more than likely, but they would simply be there for that moment working together. And they appreciated the airline staff and, the flight attendants, the pilots, others that were associated with it. But in this article, it said now the gate agent is in a contentious position, that they're the front line for taking the abuse from passengers. They have to get this plane off by themselves. Well, around 2011, 2012, what happened? There was a number of people at the gate. At each gate, the supervisor would come over, make sure that, things were being handled, that all the normal things would be attended to, that would be efficient, that, the plane would get off without incident, that everything was done from a security perspective. But now gate agents are by themselves and they're facing the wrath of people that are distraught or exhausted or frustrated, or, the plane is not taking off, or they're not getting seated at the right time, so forth. And that it's what's in it for me. I ask you today, it's not about giant ribs, but the question is teamwork. How does your team look? What makes a good team? I was listening to a podcast yesterday, And in that was a question raised on high performance teams. And in your team, are you given a definition of what that high performance team looks like? Is there this model that managers, leaders are given to say, this is makes a high performance team. This is what we should strive for. This is the steps on how to get there. So if you're doing a startup of a new team, what are the things that you're going to do to get there? So would you say our airlines today are looking at high performance teams? I don't know. Feedback, of course, media, you can't always concentrate on and believe it because there is a bias. There's always been a bias, but maybe more so now than ever, is telling it from a certain perspective. And that perspective is saying, oh, it's distraught. There's chains breaking down. Flight attendants hate pilots. Pilots hate flight attendants. Hate gate agents. Hate passengers. Just, it breeds upon itself. So if we strip all that away and say a high performance team looks like this, what does it look like? What would you say? What would you say? Lisa, others that may be watching this, write them in the comments. Send me a message. I really would like to know what makes your team special. What would working with a team look like that's high performing? Let's get some comments. Let's get some discussion going. That's pretty much what I wanted to share today, is really just what is it that means, what it means to you that is high performance? What does it look like? If everybody was doing something, what would high performance look like? As compared to performing. If a team's performing, what does that look like? And what does high performing look like? How do we go from here, performance, so if this is average or dysfunctional, and this is performing, if this is average or something less, and this is performing, meaning they're doing something that gets them to another level, what would high performance look like? So how would you ratchet this up and say, this is what a high performance team looks like? And is there something beyond high performance? There's some information out there, some books, people have written articles about high performing, but what does it mean to you? That's what I'd like to learn about today. Help me understand what makes high performance working for you. Is it everybody working to realize they have a silo of resources that they can distribute? Is that in your model? Is that in what makes your team special? Is it they pull together? Well, what do they pull together on? Is it just to complete a project, or is it with something greater in mind? Help me understand that. I would appreciate your insights, because this is what we're here for, is to talk and share and lift our thoughts, lift it to a higher level, to look at it and look at what's possible beyond. How do we work it together and go beyond? So Lisa says, my team is special for several reasons, but to me, the most important ones are the communication we share and the level of care and dedication we give to our clients. Good. Okay. So that's what her team stands out. What does your team stand out as? Weigh in. There's probably no wrong answer. There probably is no wrong answer other than saying my team is terrible. And I don't want to hear those comments. Each team has a uniqueness to them. What do you see? And maybe you're just not aware, or maybe your team is not aware of why it does what it does and why it works so well. What do you think? I'm interested. I really want to know. I really do. Weigh in today, and we'll talk tomorrow at some point. So stay tuned for more information, more thoughts. Maybe some comments will come up and I can share those out as well. We're taking a unique perspective tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. It may be a little later in the day, but it's going to be a unique piece a unique thought about teamwork, about what it means to have a unique delivery, a unique way of reaching people, supporting people, of doing things that are more effective together, that you can apply immediately to your team and lift them higher and further. My name is Dutkiewicz, and I help people, help businesses evolve to that next level, to evolve to a more effective communication, more effective connection, a more effective way to reach further and higher, faster in this environment that we need immediate change, that we see immediate change. How do we respond rather than react? How do we go from where we're at to a higher performance? And not just to get to the performance, but to feel it and live it. Our clients will be happier, our customers will live to be more loyal, and we will reap the rewards of knowing that we are happy today. We are happy living in where we're at. Though we know there's more that we want to obtain, there's a higher level in our career or our calling, but we're happy. So help us understand that happiness in your team today. Talk soon. Be well. Enjoy the day. Make it a significant day.